views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Well, over the past year, we've been constantly bombarded about hearing about attacks of cyber attacks and hacking. Whether it's celebrities becoming victims or government agencies being breached, cyber attacks and hacking looks to be the new tool of modern warfare. But it's not just exclusive to high-profile people. You, too, could be at risk. Stay with us as we discuss the growing threat of cyber attacks and hacking and how you can protect your sensitive data. That's coming up on this edition of Perspectives with yours truly, Darren Hyme.
What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, just on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference.
What's your perspective?
Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.
What's your perspective?
Let 'em know. And hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Perspectives. I am Darren Hyman. Of course, we invite you to stay connected to Perspectives as we here are celebrating 15 years of being on the air. We're glad to bring you news, information, and the things that are actually making a difference. As always, you can check us out on our social networking sites. You can hit us up on Facebook, Twitter. You can share what you like to see, talk about some past episodes of the show, but most of all, share your perspective because it does make a difference. And coming up on this edition of Perspectives, we are talking about, well, security, social media, security. He's a cybersecurity expert, president and CEO of Berkeley Veritronic Systems, BVS. He's also an inventor who's developed more than 50 tools and products, helping to protect and maintain the integrity of our information security for major companies. He's also a highly sought-after cybersecurity expert. He now joins us on Perspectives. We welcome now Scott Schober to the show, and we thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me there, Darren.
It's a pleasure and really a privilege really to have you here. And obviously, as we come here, we're coming here on the heels of Colin Powell, former, government official who's confessing that he's been hacked, emails being hacked. And when you look at Colin Powell being hacked, you have to ask yourself the question about, gosh, what's going on here? And it's very prevalent in our society.
Yeah, really all of us are a target. You, myself, the viewers, everybody is at risk really. And there's a lot of targeted attacks, be it Colin Powell. Celebrities are being targeted in many cases, and especially the tool they're using is social media. We all use it, we all appreciate it, but at the same time we all put too much information out there about ourselves, our personal lives, not realizing we're sharing too much, and of course cyber hackers use that to their advantage and take advantage of us.
Yeah, when hackers are hacking, people say, it seems like it's so hard to do, but the way that these people are hacking it, as many people are getting hacked, it almost looks too easy.
Yeah, it really doesn't take that much. And the years ago, we think about a hacker as the guy sitting in his basement behind a keyboard in his pajamas or something. That's not the case anymore. You can actually hire hackers. So if you think about that, It could be maybe somebody that was a former burglar and robbing banks, whatever the case may be. They put their gun down, they can hire a hacker even if they don't know how to operate a computer. So you can hire a hacker to clog somebody's website with DDoS attacks, distributed denial of service attacks, where it just floods the website so they can't do e-commerce. That could cripple companies now with all of us having businesses on the web. You could certainly attack, again, social media and cause all kinds of controversy, put out false claims, take over accounts. There's endless amounts of things that hackers can do to really cause havoc, and especially ransomware. We're hearing about that more and more. It's becoming more prevalent, and that's really where they're targeting our PCs, or it's also migrating now to our mobile devices. And that's where simply malware that gets on there, if we click on an attachment in an email, it will download malware, malicious software, that then in turn will encrypt all of our data. We cannot use our computer or our mobile device until we pay a ransom, and hence
Right.
the term ransomware. And this is escalating, and there's all different strains of ransomware, making it more and more difficult to protect our personal data.
Yeah, so I'll bear transparency on this one here. I had a computer. I was working at home. Boom, all of a sudden, I get this thing that looks like Apple and locks my computer up and says, hey, contact this number. I call the number. They tell me, I need you to pay $99 and we'll do this. Now, fortunately, I didn't do it. I took it to Apple, and Apple said, great thing, you were being hacked.
Yeah, you probably were. It was a targeted hack there. And it may not have been just against you. Sometimes they send it out through spam. Every day there's 156 million spam emails that go out globally. And out of that, 80,000 people every single day click on that attachment. And that's why we keep hearing about it, these phishing attacks where they're trying to lure people in. People innocently say, oh, that looks familiar. It's from my bank, I think. Click, downloads the malware, we're in trouble. So we have to be very careful what we click on. They're also targeting us. If you've noticed text, SMS text messages with embedded links, you'll get that and say, who is this text from? You may click on it. Again, it downloads malware to your phone. Your phone could now be infected. So we have to really be careful what we click on.
If you don't know, Scott is also the author of the book Hacked Again. I failed to mention at the top of the show. And so very much an expert in taking care of making sure that you're not hacked again. Walk me through this. A lot of people are on social media, right? We're finding, and I'm getting Facebook. I got a Facebook request from a man that was dead. And that was one of the most like gut-wrenching
Crazy,
things
yeah,
to
yeah.
see, right? But people are just so ruthless these days. What can we do, particularly social media right now, for people who are out there watching, to protect themselves from these people who are hacking and creating multiple profiles with our names and pictures and information?
Well, one thing is don't give them too much. It sounds like obvious, but best practice is don't put too much out there. In other words, when you have, say, security challenge questions, what do we typically do? What high school did we attend? We tend to write what high school we attended. That's not a good idea. Why? I could go on the computer and find out what high school you attended in a matter of a minute or two. So I know your security challenge question if you answer it honestly. Instead, why not answer it with a password or something totally random? Then when somebody's trying to hack your account, they try to guess your high school, they'll never get it.
Right.
Same thing about birth date. A lot of people, when we set up our accounts, be it Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, when they do ask for your birth date, don't put your actual birth date down. I put a fictitious one down. So if somebody tries to compromise my account again, then they'll be putting in the wrong birth date. Maybe they're trying to take identity theft. It's hard to do when you have the wrong birth date. Same thing, social security number. I hear this all the time. People provide their social security number. I myself went to a doctor a couple months back, had a sinus infection, was getting treated, and at the very bottom it said, Mr. Schober, you have to put down your social security number. I said, ooh, I'm not going to do that. And they said, well, you have to. We can't treat you. I said, you can't deny coverage if I don't put my social security number. What are you going to do with that paper? Well, we photocopy it, we file it, we submit it. They really don't need that, and they can't deny coverage either. So I questioned it. They made a call, came back, and they said, you're right. We don't have to have you give us the social security number. So I just put a line through it. So the risk is when you do put your social security number down and somebody steals it, be it dumpster diving, right? Or goes behind or gets on their computer, somehow that's compromised. Now they can use that information to take out identity, false identity, take out credit in your name. There's so many things that they can do once they've got your social security number. So just don't give it to them. Why do they ask for it? That's what I was curious about. The real reason why many medical practitioners are is because they can use that for collections. It makes it much easier when you have a patient's social security number and they're not paying the bill to put them into collections. That's why they're really using it. So just be careful how much personal information you put out there, because really they have tools now, hackers, that can go and scarf on the internet all the things associated to us, our website, our personal information that we put up on social media, everything together, and they could use that again to perform identity theft, compromise us, hack our accounts, you name it.
You're working with a lot of businesses and companies. What are you hearing from them by way of what their needs are and what's happening with them?
Well, we deal with a lot of government agencies, DoD agencies, a lot of Fortune 500 companies. One of the biggest threats that we run into all the time is the wireless threat. all of us are connected. There's more mobile phone accounts than there are people now.
Right.
We all have our smartphones now that can do a lot of powerful things. When somebody has a smartphone on them and they get into a spot where they're not supposed to, think of all the things they can do. They could eavesdrop on conversations, record them. They could take pictures of confidential information, proprietary information, whatever the case may be, and send that out and have it in digital form. So it's very powerful. So when there's spots where you're not allowed to have a mobile phone, that's where we build tools to protect it, so we can actually direction find and find mobile phones on a person, hidden inside things. Oftentimes they're smuggled into correction facilities as contraband cell phone, huge problem.
Right.
We saw a lot of equipment there. Government facilities where they house classified information and there's no wireless allowed at all. Our tools are all over these different government agencies to prevent that hack. So that's a common way that cyber hackers will try to get into networks with wireless. A common example is law offices, maybe small practices. They have a lot of personal information. What do hackers do? They'll park in the parking lot. They'll try to connect in through their Wi-Fi with different automated tools to guess that password. If they can't guess the password because it's fairly secure, then they'll use a traditional social engineering technique. They'll call the receptionist and try to fool her or him into getting that password so they could hack into the computer network.
Wow.
Place their malware. Now remotely they could start collecting all that personal information and use it for whatever terrible purposes they have.
We'll come back and talk a little bit about some of the common mistakes people are making these days, and we'll get you up to date. Listen, we got Scott Schober here. He's the author of Hacked Again. And if you really want to get yourself together by way of social media, by way of just personal security, stay connected to us here on Perspectives. Scott has given us the much needed tips. And then we're also going to talk after the break about the elections. The upcoming elections have been a major talk as to possible hackers getting into that. We'll explain more on Perspectives.
It's not always easy being a dad.
Do you have panda asthma too? Does that run in the family?
This is the home of the most priceless kung fu artifacts.
But when you make an effort,
Dad, we're not supposed to touch anything. Oh, sorry.
Go long, son!
it's always worth it.
Whoa, faster!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
I am gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
I'm only 17, but I know about investing. Believe in something, buy shares in it, watch it grow. So, what if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. I could be one of the first college graduates from my family, the first philanthropist from my neighborhood. And if I'm the first, then maybe there's a second and a third. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow. My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness. I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Back here on Perspectives, talking about keeping secure, keeping your personal security safe, your personal information safe. And we're pleased to be joined by Scott Schober, who's the author of Hacked Again. He is joining us here in studios. We're sharing a little bit about how to prevent or do the best possible job of preventing yourself from being hacked. And, you know, it's going to happen. Yeah. It could happen. And even for you, it's happened. So.
It's inevitable. Yeah, myself, here we are, we're selling to different security companies, security tools, government agencies, and I'm educating people, sharing how to stay safe. And the more I shared, the more I became a target and had a target on my back. It started with debit card compromised multiple times, credit card, so I'm closing accounts, starting up accounts. Yeah. Then I had to switch banks. They came after me personally, They came after my corporation. Twitter account was hacked. Our website was getting flooded with traffic, DDoS attacks as they call it, where we can't do any commerce. Then finally the last straw was when my checking account, I came in one Monday morning and $65,000 was taken out of it. And it became a federal investigation, lots of paperwork, lots of time, big mess. And I finally did get all the money back, fortunately. In the process of all those different ordeals, I learned a lot of things that I've done wrong, things that I could do better. And I'm trying to share a lot of that. And that was really the start of the book, writing down, sharing these things with people.
So in the book, I'm sure you spend a lot of time helping people understand what not to do. Very quickly, what are some of the common mistakes that people make?
Well, number one, everybody puts way too much information out there, as we talked about a little bit before. One of the biggest areas that is actually in our control, passwords. People will go, oh, passwords, I'm sick of passwords. If you talk to the average 10 people, probably 9 of those people have very insecure passwords. They're simple, they're short. I always recommend at least 12 characters, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols, almost random. It can't have any common word in the dictionary, shouldn't be anything associated to us. So then everyone always says, well, how in the world do you remember it? You can't. If you can't remember your password, it's probably a good password. So instead, I write it down in a black book, and it's layers of security. Black book, in a safe, locked room, locked building, alarms, camera. Layers of security prevent people from stealing and compromising your information. Just like our house. If we want to keep our house safe, we don't just have a simple little lock on our door, right? We got a deadbolt. We've got cameras. We got a big dog. We got alarm, whatever. All these things make it difficult for hackers to break in to get our personal data.
It's really about doing taking the extra steps
Taking
and doing the extra work.
Yes.
So as we approach the presidential elections, obviously a lot of concern has been talked about hacking, and we know that the threat of possibly losing the presidential election to hacking, and we talk about groups like Anonymous and stuff like that where we see information that's out there. How realistic is this threat that we're talking about? Because we're talking about a lot in the media. Is it real?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, it's not that they're trying to hack now. This is really stuff that's been happening. Over the past few years, they've been placing malware. They've been getting into different computer networks. We know the DNC was compromised. We know all about Hillary Clinton's emails and many others. The list goes on and on. But these things typically happen over time, and hackers have that big advantage. They only have to get it right once, right, to get into a network, place something, and then they very patiently wait 6 months, a year, 2 years, before then they want to take over, pull off information, and they post it on WikiLeaks or other sites that cause a huge stir and compromise. So this is something that they've been working on, these hackers, and it's pretty clear that the fingerprint, the pattern that they've used is similar to other hacks, which traces all back to Russia. Of course, Putin and others will deny it and say, we didn't hack, this is crazy. But it's pretty clear. There's been a lot of different companies that have gone in, done the analysis, and said, yeah, the fingerprint's the same. This is coming from Russia.
So you deal with a lot of businesses, you deal with a lot of Fortune 500 companies, a lot of government agencies. What is their perspective with regards to this? Are they very aware? Are people very naive? Because you would think that sometimes when you've got Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, that people are very front and center on the matter. But sometimes we find out just by the stuff that goes on with security risks and security breaches, we're all not that secure.
Yeah, what I'm finding, talking to a lot of them, it's getting better. A lot of it because of education. They're starting to implement best practices. And it's got to be done throughout the entire organization. From the top down, bottom up, everybody has to think cyber and have some level of cyber hygiene to keep the company safe. It's really everybody's paychecks. It's not just the big CEO or the CSO or whoever else. It's everybody's part of the solution, not the problem. And I think once companies get that, and they're starting to, then they're going to start taking best practices seriously. I look at all the different breaches. Just about every one of them had to do with human weakness, human innocence. Weak password, sharing passwords, too lazy to put up multi-factor authentication where you have an additional layer again beyond just the login credentials and a password, a third step there or second step that would allow you to enter in a secure code that's texted to you, that you can enter that code, one-time code, and that's all available. It's available if we use Gmail, if we use Yahoo, but most people are just too lazy. They want the free convenience of mail. They give away their privacy because all that mail, obviously the content of that, Google, for example, reads all of that. So there's really no security there. There's a perceived security, but it's really not secure. You're giving away something for free email.
Right.
So you have to balance that trade-off there and understand it. You're giving away some level of security too when you use certain things.
So if I have a Google account or if I have a Hotmail account, what is there's some extra steps I can be taking.
Yeah, it's free. Yeah, you can go on there and frequently asked questions and ask about multi-factor or two-factor authentication. So when you log on to access your mail, it's not just putting in your username and your password. At that point, you'll be prompted. It will send to your mobile device another one-time code that will then erase. That added step or layer of security is much, much, much safer, so you won't get your mail compromised.
And sometimes it's just taking that extra step that makes all the difference in the world.
Huge.
And for so many of us, we say, oh, it's one more thing that we have to do. But when you think about the consequences of not doing it, obviously the consequences far outweigh, just doing due diligence, which is just going a few extra minutes.
Absolutely. When I look back in hindsight, the amount of work of cleanup and paranoia that I face over the past 2 years as a result of being compromised, you'd rather spend those few minutes of inconvenience and just be careful.
Yeah, so give us that, because you said you were compromised and $65,000 was lost. How long did it take you to get back on the ball after being a victim of identity theft?
Well, immediately, once those things started happening, I changed banks, changed passwords, got rid of the debit card. There's a real common one that many consumers love their debit card. I liken it to this: somebody reaching it into your wallet or your purse and taking your money out. Because that's really what it is. It's cash.
Right.
And when a cyber thief takes your money, it's harder to get it back. You probably will get it back because the laws in the United States are really good. There's good protection. Credit card is much safer because, again, whose money are they taking? They're taking the credit cards company.
Right.
Let them go fight to get it back. You're going to get your money back much quicker. So I always encourage people, get a credit card, much safer. Get rid of those debit cards. Go in the bank, keep some cash under the mattress. It's old-fashioned, but it works.
Right. What about even doing, when you're out there doing credit instead of debit? Because a lot of people like to do debit, punch in their due, take their money. I've been told before, sometimes it's better just to do credit.
Yeah, you're much safer there. Again, liabilities, protecting you as a consumer. And in fact, you'll get your money back. There's a $50 charge that you're personally responsible for. If you go to the issuing bank and say, hey guys, can you refund that? 9 out of 10 times they'll say, yeah, okay, and they'll give you $50. So what's your liability? Zero with a credit card. Right. Use a credit card, much safer.
All righty. Be back with more with Scott, keeping us safe, keeping us hack-free. That's the idea we're trying to give to you today on Perspective. Stay with us. We got more show coming up right after this.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Back here on Perspectives, talking with Scott Schober, the author of Hacked Again, as we're giving you some information about personal security, trying to stay hack-free or as best as you can to stay hack-free. And as I said, he's the author of the book Hack Again. It can happen to anyone, and as he says in the book, even a cybersecurity expert, because if you didn't catch a little earlier in the show, he even admitted himself being a victim of this. So about the book, where can people get the book, and what will they find once they get in there?
Well, they could certainly find it on Amazon. It's probably the most popular place. It's available hard copy, soft copy, Audible, and ebook. They can get it at Barnes & Noble, any of the bookstores, or they could buy it. The website that I have set up is hackedagain.com. They could buy it there, and I think you get a T-shirt also if you buy the hard copy with it. And what they'll learn in there, that it's something that affects everybody. All of us can get pieces of information that we can apply. It doesn't mean we have to go out there and spend a lot of money. A lot of people think, oh, I got to buy a complex virus scanner and malware and this and that. Reality is, most of the software that we put on our computer, about 15 to 20% of it actually stops the viruses from coming in. So what's that telling us? About 80% are coming through.
Right.
So we're spending our hard-earned dollars, and oftentimes it's not stopping it. Because these are zero-day attacks where they could find ways around the securities that we put in place. Hackers, again, have time on their hands, they're smart guys, and they're lazy. They're going to find the simple way to hack and compromise our personal data.
Is there a way to identify a hacker, or if I'm in the process of being hacked, is there a way to, I can say, man, yeah, I need...
There are some telltale signs. If you notice your computer's running really slow, and you get that wheel spinning, you're saying, what's going on here? It's not responding very well. If it's locking up frequently, if it's crashing, something's not right. It could be a couple other things, but it's likely it could be a hacker on there with putting software in the background that's running. There's some things called keyloggers. Again, that's malware, a particular strain on there. Everything you type on your keyboard, it will record. So imagine we're going to our bank site. We put in our login credentials. Everything that we type, the URL at the top of your browser, the login credentials, your password, all that information is being logged. Then they dump it, and now they go through this text file, with automated software to make their job easy, because they're lazy, and then they could use that against you. If you're the type of person that reuses the same password, which is another no-no, I always tell people never use the same password on multiple sites. Password reuse is a big problem. So say you have a simple password to log into your Facebook account. If you reuse that, what you trade stocks with your banking account, they're going to try every single site on the web to see if they could break in case you have other accounts, banking and stock market, whatever, with that same password once they compromise it once. So unique password for each site, very, very important.
So password reuse is definitely...
That's a no-no, yeah. Even if it's part of it. So if you had Darren123, on another site, don't use Darren765. That would be a no-no. Very easy to hack something like that. Probably a matter of seconds.
All right. Scott Schober's our guest. He's been our guest here on Perspectives, and we want to thank him for joining us and sharing a little bit again. He's the author of Hacked Again, trying to make sure that everybody gets the right information, as all the way from the average person all the way up to government agencies, and continue to do the good work. There's a lot of work out there for you.
Keep them busy.
And keeping us busy and keeping us safe. Scott Schober, our guest here. And as always, we want to tell you to stay connected with us here on Perspectives every week. Check us out for a brand new episode, and we encourage you, share your perspective with somebody else, because it just might make a difference in someone else's life. For all of us on the set of Perspectives, Darren Jaime saying take care and God bless. Really?
If you want to stay in the know about the latest happenings en español, check out Diálogo Abierto, BronxNet's own Spanish show, Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. on Channel 67. The latest in news, arts, culture, politics, and what's going on in your neighborhood. Diálogo Abierto, the best way to stay connected in Spanish. See you there. Te esperamos.